welcome to my channel. Today's video I am celebrating hitting 6,000 subscribers. So this video is one to say thank you for all of you that have been subscribed and support my channel, and for those of you that may be new subscribers to get to know me a little bit better. So today's video we are doing a get to know me question and answer. I asked over on my Instagram and here on YouTube for any questions you guys have, and so I do have quite a few of them, and we're gonna see how long this video is and how much we get through. I am doing a huge giveaway to say thank you, and those giveaway details will be later on in the video. All right, I'm gonna start with the questions that I got over on Instagram, and I read them when they first came in, but I asked like almost 2 weeks ago when I'm filming this video, so I don't remember them. So we're gonna make sure, hopefully I have answers for these. The first question is, what were your favorite subjects in school? I was not the best student, I will be the first to admit, and I was really smart, but I chose to be more social than educational during my school years, especially as I got older. But I would say before, I'll probably say like reading. I was really into reading all throughout school, even high school. I hung out with, I guess back then it was like, it was considered nerdy if you read books. And I remember like when Twilight came out when I think I was in high school, or that's when I read it, when I was in high school, and I just absolutely loved it. I always loved like public speaking, so like I think I took a couple like English or communication classes where we would have to like give reports on writing and or like present our writings, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm definitely more, even now, towards like language arts, reading, writing, speaking, much more than like the math or science, even though my job is in the finance industry. So there's that answer. The next question is, how did you find your local homeschool co-op? So there is a website that I believe has like all the different co-ops that are registered as co-ops for all the different states, that I will link down below. When I first started homeschooling, I stumbled across that website, and there was a couple different options in the city I live in. And so the co-op we're in now actually has like a year-long wait list. So when we first started homeschooling, we couldn't get into that co-op group, as well as at that time, even now, I was a working homeschooling mom. And so I work during the week, and a lot of co-ops unfortunately do activities during the week. And so I kind of just was like, you know what, that's not going to work for us. Unless I can find a co-op that happens on the weekends, it's just not going to work for us. And so at that same time, my mother-in-law was deciding to semi-retire, and she could help more with those social activities. So when I first started homeschooling, my mother-in-law, I was like, you know what, just take the kids to the park, like whatever, I just need them to get out of the house and, play and still have like that social type thing as we're adjusting to homeschooling. And so when she started taking them to the park, she met some other homeschoolers, because that's who's out and about during the week, during school hours. And they had a smaller homeschool group with like 5-ish families to 10-ish. Now it's like 10-ish. So that was our very first experience like with a co-op, but it was very informal. It was just kind of, a couple families like, hey, let's go to the park together. Let's go do a field trip here together. And so that it kind of happened at a park. The kids got along, my mother-in-law and those, moms got along. And so that was like our first experience kind of in the co-op world. And then as we got closer to them, they were in that homeschool co-op that we had wanted to be in, that larger one. And so a whole year went by, and then we did get into that larger co-op, which I believe has over 400 kids, 100 different families. So the co-op groups we're in, we have still that small one. It's I think up to 10 families now, and that one is a little bit more low-key. They do events on the weekends sometimes. And then we have our large one where my kids have classes every Monday and Friday. And so I think there's more than that's out there. I even see like when we were talking about like moving to different cities or states, I just did like a search like homeschool in this city, and I would find groups. And so there are homeschoolers, I think, in every area. If you live in a bigger city like me, I think the advantage is you probably have more solid structured homeschool groups where, again, we have classes, we have this, it's, you know, it's all parent volunteer, but I mean, there's people that like dedicate their time to running these co-ops pretty efficiently. And there's other groups where it's just a group of homeschool moms or parents that just kind of plan and get together stuff. So I will link the website down below, but again, just kind of ask around in your community. Go hang around a park or a library during school hours. If you see school-age kids and families, odds are they're probably homeschoolers. The next question is, looking back to when I first homeschooled to now, what has changed? What have you learned? Everything has changed. I think in the very beginning, I was just trying to check these boxes that didn't exist. I felt like I needed to do 150% of everything to prove that it was okay. I took my kids out of public school and that they weren't going to fall behind and it was going to be okay. And I just had that sense of like, I don't know, stress, and I don't even know where it came from, because thankfully, like, everyone around me was so supportive. Like, my entire family was supportive. My husband was really supportive. And so it never came from those around me. I actually am so thankful of how, when I finally made that decision and I was talking to, you know, like my parents, my husband's parents, family members, and they were like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I didn't anticipate that type of level of support. So I think, yeah, in the beginning, I was just very insecure about homeschooling. I obviously had no idea about, you know, curriculum. And that's kind of why I started this YouTube channel, was because YouTube really gave me a ton of information and I wanted to kind of give back to that as well. And so I'm definitely not insecure anymore. I am very confident in homeschooling, and any negative stereotype that people have, you know, it doesn't even bother me anymore. Nikki and I talk about this a lot on our podcast. If you didn't know, I have a podcast, new episodes every Monday with Nikki, and we always talk about, like, when people say something like, oh, is your kid socialized enough? It's like, you know what, actually just go hang out with our kids. Like, I'm done defending it, because if you would just go spend some time with my kid, you would see they're just fine. And in my opinion, you know, I think that my kids act more mature, more responsible than most public school peers that they have in their groups. So I will definitely say my confidence, my like sense of security in my decision of homeschooling just definitely came a long way. It's like the complete opposite. I'm still just as crazy as I was day one with curriculum. That will never change. It's because I love curriculum and I love all the resources we have as homeschoolers. And so I don't think I'll ever stop buying curriculum and just stay with one thing forever. So that definitely hasn't changed. I'm definitely I am more flexible and more focused, even though like we do all the core subjects. Like, we're not unschoolers by any definition. We are more traditional homeschoolers. We do the main subjects, math, science, history, language arts. You know, I'm not as rigid as I used to be. I think that kids should love learning, and I think, you know, if we're like pressuring them, you know, can kind of stray them away from learning. So I'm definitely more focused now on creating like lifelong learners. Like, my kids, I want them to want to learn stuff, and so just adapting to those kind of things. I have 3 questions about moving beyond the page from Instagram. I'm sure I have more on YouTube, because I feel like I'm one of the very, very few homeschool content creators that talks about moving beyond the page, and I wish there was more people that talked about it. So I try to share as much as I can, but I'm only one person, and so let's see what these questions are. The first question is, how do you think The Good and the Beautiful compares to Moving Beyond the Page? I just think they're different. I don't really know if you could compare them. I've shared my thoughts on The Good and the Beautiful. I think The Good and the Beautiful works, we'll say, as far as like language arts, because that's what I'll compare. I'll compare like the language arts aspects. I think The Good and the Beautiful's language arts for very young children, preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, first, maybe second grade, is a very good curriculum to use. I have not used Moving Beyond the Page at those younger levels. Do they have it? Yes. Did I consider it? Yes. Do I still want to buy it? Yes. But I don't know. It's not like, I like Moving Beyond the Page more because it works better for our family. The reading books, the discussion questions, the different activities, it just works better for us. I feel like we're getting more out of the curriculum than we got with like language arts in the older grades. I think The Good and the Beautiful has really fun art and geography lessons, but I need my kids to be learning grammar and writing, and I just feel like at the older levels we're getting more of that from Moving Beyond the Page, if that makes sense. And like The Good and the Beautiful, which there's nothing wrong with it, but all their curriculum is based off of the books they write, and I want my kids to be reading other books that are not just written by The Good and the Beautiful. And so that's something that was really important to me, and what led me to Moving Beyond the Page. The next question is how is the independent Moving Beyond the Page going? So if you follow me, you know I recently started using their 5th grade level, which I think is ages 9 to 11 for Moving Beyond the Page. And at that level, it becomes more student directed. So that means like the units themselves are written towards the student. So we just are using our first unit that is student directed. I will say like the first lesson was not, here, go ahead. Like I handed it to my daughter and she's like, what am I supposed to do? And so it did take us a lesson or two for her to understand just like how it's written to her, because for the past 2 years, I've been telling them how to do everything. So I know how to understand Moving Beyond the Page directions and like the flow, but you know, I translate that to what my kids understand. So now expecting my daughter to just, you know, be able to grab it and go, it was not that simple. And I did have a little mini freak out. I think lesson 1, I was like, she's not gonna be able to do this, but I'm happy to report we are now on like lesson 7 and she's pretty much like 98% independent. I do like to check over it just to make sure, you know, everything's flowing, she's getting everything done correctly. So we'll see. We're going to continue on the rest of the school year. She has 6 more units that she's going to be doing, and so I will definitely be doing an update specifically on those from Moving Beyond the Page. Next question is, after a year of Moving Beyond the Page curriculum, do you move on up to the next age? Yes. So Moving Beyond the Page sells, you know, leveled curriculum for ages, grade levels, whatever you want to do. And so when we first started using Moving Beyond the Page, I was just picking all random units based on books we wanted to read or based on topics I wanted to cover. But if you actually like use the year-long curriculum, then yes, you would complete a year at your child's level and then move on to the next year. They have a curriculum from kindergarten to 9th grade. So the first year of high school is what they go up to. Last question on Instagram was, what is the best and worst thing about homeschooling? The best thing is the extra time I get to spend with my kids. I have just, you know, really enjoyed getting, I think, like a lot of time back. You know, I've always been a working mom and a lot of my work was out of the home in the beginning. I remember even my first daughter, you know, when I had her, I was only 20 years old and I only took 2 weeks off of work and was right back at work because I had to, and just, I don't know, it was just like a different time of our lives. My middle daughter and son, well, my middle daughter, I took, you know, the standard, I think 3 months off work. So that was really nice. And then my son, I took an extended time off. I took, I want to say 5 to 6 months off when I had my son. And that was just absolutely amazing. And then COVID happened. And so I've pretty much always been home with my son because of like my longer maternity leave and then being sent home to work remote. And so I cherish having so much time with him that I missed out with my daughters. But now I feel like I'm getting a lot of that back. I do still work, but I get to work remotely from home. And so homeschooling allows us to just work together all the time. And we're learning together. We're you know, we're not just kind of sitting in the same house all watching TV together. Like we are constantly like discussing things and all learning together, and just it's really like made like a huge change in just the way like we interact and like our lives are. So my favorite thing is definitely the extra time I get with my kids as a family that they get with each other. The worst thing, I would just say it's like, it's all on you. And so there are days where I'm like, I am everything. Like, I have to be teacher. And sometimes there's hard things with being that teacher because you have to like critique your kids. And, you know, there's like that fine line of like, you're not wanting to like ruin their day, but you also want to make sure they know how to spell this word correctly. Or that, you know, it's like, I always feel this level of like responsibility. Like, am I doing enough? Am I doing it right? Like, am I choosing the right things for their future? And so I think that's like normal parenting stuff too. I don't really know. I think homeschooling adds more pressure because we're also now 1,000% in charge of their education, where, you know, I think it's easy when you send your kid to public school, not that you're not involved, but like the pressure's on someone else. Like, if your kid's failing their class, most of the time it's because of the teacher or your kid, like in that mindset. But when it's homeschool, it feels more on you as the teacher or the parent. And so that's definitely, I think, the worst part is just like, you are everything. And so some days that can be a little heavy on yourself. All right, moving on to the questions I got over on YouTube. It says there's 20 comments, but I think some people were just saying congratulations. So thank you if you said congratulations. We'll just go down the list. How do you manage to fit quiet you time in between work and homeschooling and home responsibilities? So I get this where I can. I do get overstimulated very easily, especially like if I'm working all day and people are talking to me all day. And then, you know, my kids, I have 3 of them. They're loud. They're like always talking and playing. And so there are times where I'm just like, I cannot have anybody talking to me. And so my husband got me noise canceling headphones for Christmas, and they're life changing because I could be sitting downstairs with my whole family, you know, and they could be playing a game or playing with the dogs. And all I have to do is just put my headphones on. I don't even have to be like listening to a book or music. I could just put them on and it just mutes everything. And like, that may not make sense to you, but like, I get like very anxious or like frustrated when I've hit my limit and I need quiet time. And so that's an easy fix. I do love reading and listening to audiobooks. So I listen to audiobooks like when I'm doing chores, because, you know, household stuff still has to get done. So whenever I'm doing laundry, whenever I am making meals, cooking food, cleaning, I'm always listening to an audiobook. And so even though that's not like me time, like I'm still doing a chore or task, it does make me feel like I'm doing something I enjoy. But like, on the weekends, like my husband could be like, yeah, go do this, go shopping all day, or go take a day at the spa, or go do whatever you want. I'm not a type of person though that likes to be alone either. So if I were to go do that, I would want my husband to come with me, or I'd want my kids to come with me, or like a friend. I don't like being alone, like doing stuff out of the house. So I don't have that want or need. And there's definitely boundaries. Like if I have been working all day, homeschooling my kids all day, I will be very clear with my kids. Like, look, guys, I need 30 minutes to where you are not asking anything of me. Like, I'm gonna go sit down, I'm gonna read a book, and I just need you to entertain yourself. So unless someone is like bleeding or dying, leave me alone. And my kids are pretty good because I give them that same respect. You know, after them listening to me school them all day, you know, they have their own friend groups and activities. My kids also enjoy alone quiet time, and I think that is something very important that I do notice a lot of parents don't let their kids be bored. Like, your kid doesn't always have to be entertained. There doesn't always have to be something going on. So, you know, my kids have quiet hobbies. Like, one of my daughters crochets, one of my daughters draws, you know, they have toys that, you know, my son builds Legos all the time. They need outlets to where I can't be your constant entertainment. Your sibling can't be your constant entertainment. Like, you need to be able to entertain yourself on your own. And I really, really do push that. Or like, you know what? If you don't want to do anything, then you can just go lay in your bed and you can have quiet time for 20 minutes. So there's that. It's just, and I do work out. So I will take, you know, after I get off work, I will work out for a quick 15 to 30 minutes, or like I'll work out super early on the weekends. I do get up before everyone. I get up between 5 and 6 a.m. every single day, and I get a lot of alone quiet time during that time too. Next question, how do you keep yourself from going down the rabbit hole of switching curriculums if your current one is working just fine? Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Ashley. I don't do that. I always go down the rabbit hole. I always end up buying the new curriculum. I'm just as guilty as most homeschool moms. I think I enable myself because I am a content creator, so anything I buy I can make a YouTube video on. So I think it's a little bit different from me because I can share it through social media. But you know, I also though have bought in the new shiny things and switched my kids' curriculum, and it was not for the best, and my kids were quick to call me out on that. So you know, if you really are considering changing your curriculum to something, I think you need to ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? There's no perfect curriculum out there, and so is the curriculum you're using really a problem, or are you just looking at something shiny and new? And then ask your kids, like, you know, do you enjoy what we're doing now? Do you think you would enjoy this more? You know, another thing is not that I want you to, but like, stay away from social media. It's especially during this season, everyone's going to be sharing, you know, curriculum pics, curriculum hauls, and if that invokes you to buy things, then you should probably stay away from it. You know, you kind of got to do it. It's just, that's what I'll say. Next question, has your job ever questioned you about homeschooling and your YouTube channel? No. My work does know I homeschool. I don't think they know I do YouTube or social media. I don't ever do anything that conflicts, and I don't ever share specifics about my work, and so there would be no, I think, need for them to question what I'm doing. As far as homeschooling, yes, they've known since day one. My boss knows. I mean, it's never been an issue. I think I am a better, I don't want to say this, but like, I feel like a better employee because I'm not constantly like, I have to go run to their public school, I have to go pick them up, I have to drop them off, oh, they're sick, they had to stay home today. So like, I don't have as many like interruptions, I guess, because like, it's just our normal flow. Like that, I don't know. How do you handle homeschooling through sickness? This one I think I've shared before. If just one of my kids is sick, then they will take the day off, because eventually it all like catches up. Like, another one's probably gonna get sick. Most of the time though, my kids all do get sick at the same time because they're always hanging out, they share germs. And so like in December, we had to take a week off because everyone got sick. It just wasn't going to happen. So we do take the time off if we need to, but also we don't take a ton of breaks normally. So like I leave a lot of wiggle room in our homeschooling schedule, like when I plan it out for the year, to have weeks off, but I don't actually have planned weeks off. We use them as we need to for a sickness or a vacation. And so I know, like, when I'm truly sick, I'm not functioning at my best. I'm not going to retain the information. I'm not going to give my best effort. And so my kids also, you know, I don't want them to feel that pressure. I want them to rest and be healthy, and I don't want them to feel like they're getting frustrated with school. How do you get back into everyday grind after a break? Like I said, we don't take many breaks because we only do curriculum 3 times a week. And so my kids really never get burnt out on curriculum because, again, it's a very small portion of our normal week. Our biggest break is after summer and getting back into a new school year. I always do like a soft start. Like, we will start with just the basics like math and language arts, and we will just get back into the flow of, okay, waking up, coming to the homeschool table, and then we'll start adding some more stuff in. Next question is, what do you think of lightning literature? I've never used it. I want to say I looked at it a while ago, but I don't remember. So unfortunately, I can't give my opinion of lightning literature. Next question is, what led you to homeschool in the first place? Have your kids ever been to school? So yes, my 2 daughters went to public school. My oldest daughter we pulled her out when she was in 3rd grade to officially homeschool, even though part of her 2nd grade year she was at home because of COVID. And then my middle daughter, she was in kindergarten, after COVID. And so she did some distance learning with school. She went back to physical school for like a month. And that's when we decided officially to homeschool them. So my oldest is really the only one that has like a true public school experience. My middle daughter, it was weird. It was all COVID-ish, so it was not a real experience. And my son went to daycare for like 2 weeks and that didn't work out. So that is our public school and what led us to. There was plenty of things. I think I've done tons of videos specifically on what led us to homeschool, but I don't believe in the public school system. I don't believe it's benefiting my kids, my family. I think as a parent, especially in the city I live in, I am just more worried about them physically being away at school all day. I don't think our schools are run safely and well. I don't think my kids, I don't think kids get the education they need in schools. I think it's a social circus of just negativity, and it's just unfortunately like a sad system and a sad world we kind of live in. And I think, I just wanted something different for my kids, and that's where we're at. Next question is, what are some routines, rhythms that have changed for you over the years as my kids have gotten older? We've changed just depending on seasons. Like when we first started homeschooling, I still worked outside of the home. And so we used a lot of online things like Me Academy or IXL. I used a lot of like workbooks because I basically would like give my kids like a packet, like, okay, do these 4 workbook pages, do these 4 things on the computer. And was that the best choice? No. We obviously don't school like that anymore, but it's what we had to do for that time of life to get done. Obviously, as my kids get older, they do things independently. Like their math is completely independent from 3rd grade and up, which is great for them. They're really enjoying it. Like I said, I think I've relaxed more. Like I want my kids to really enjoy learning. And so I try to introduce like topics that, are really good for discussions, that, they can have their opinions on, that we can just talk about. Not everything's like just, right or wrong answers. It's, more of a discussion, more focused on like their interest and things like that. Next question, any ideas on a Christian-based curriculum that could teach a soon-to-be 1st grader and soon-to-be 5th grader? Any ideas on a Christian-based? I want to do as many subjects together as possible. Some of like the best curriculum or Christian-based curriculum I would say would probably be Sunlight, BJU, or I think The Good and the Beautiful, or Gather Round. But it also depends on like your style. Like, are you wanting it to be open and go? Do you want it to be literature based? Do you want an online portion of it? Do you want to teach them together? Do you want it to be traditional school where they have all the subjects, or do you want it to be something like more like Gather Round where it's like everything kind of combined? So I can't answer your question, but those are things that you should start thinking about. And those are the Christian companies that come to mind, I think, right off the bat. And they're all great companies. I've worked with all of them before, so. Next question is from Gina B, which is one of my favorite YouTubers, so thank you for commenting. She asked, what's your favorite subject to teach and all-time favorite curriculum company? My favorite subject to teach is probably like our language arts units, like when we read books and like we have discussion questions about reading books. I really enjoy reading myself, but I love my kids reading stories and like being able to experience that with them. So I love teaching reading, love the discussions that comes out of that. And then my all-time favorite curriculum company, I don't know. I did do a video like what's my favorite curriculum, and I did choose Moving Beyond the Page. I love their curriculum. I've never like worked with their company, so I think it's hard for me to say like I love their company. I love their curriculum, and that's what I'll say. The company I love the most is probably Guest Hollow, Charles and Jen. I just love that they're homeschooling parents that saw a need and created this really awesome, curriculum that is unique, and it's just fun, and they're just really awesome people. So I'd probably say them as like a curriculum company owner, but then also I get to work with really awesome curriculum companies all the time, so it's hard to choose. Next question is, I'm very curious as what your real job is. I will never specifically say what company I work for or what my title is. Just, I don't want those worlds to mix. However, I have worked in the banking finance industry for the past 11 years. And I've held many roles over those 11 years. I do work primarily in lending and loans. I've been a loan officer. A major portion of my career was being a loan officer. So at this point in my career, I'm a lot more into data and operational type things and improving processes and systems, and it is a real job. It is 40 hours a week. I do travel for work. I do report to people, and so that's what I'll say for that. Next one, have you used Beowulf's language arts program multiple years for one child? Is that easy to do over a period of time? I've never used Beowulf Guest Hollow's language arts. I've used their grammar. I have fully reviewed their language arts. So any Guest Hollow curriculum comes with like a schedule, and they break it down between 4 and 5 days a week for however many weeks. Normally it's between 30 to 36 weeks, depending on what curriculum you have. So just like Beowulf grammar, I have like that printout schedule, and I just mark off when we complete a day. We don't homeschool 5 days a week. We don't always do grammar. And so I just have had that schedule printed out. I had it out last year and I have it this year. So we've been using this curriculum for 2 years now. I mark it off when we complete a day, and that's it. And so their language arts would work exactly the same way, as well as the way Guest Hollow works is they give you a schedule and like a main plan, but then they also have like 1,000 extra things you could do to like enhance the study, or like if it, you have an older kid versus a younger kid, like this activity may be better for a younger kid or older kid. You can definitely stretch it out over multiple years. So yeah, there's tons of resources. I would just use that schedule. I think they even give you like an editable version of the schedule where you could copy and paste it and make it work however schedule things. So I would highly recommend their language arts program. You can customize it and definitely use it over multiple years. The next question, there's only 2 more questions. The next question is, how on earth do you manage working a regular job, 2 YouTube channels, and a blog, and momming? Do you just not sleep? And that was from Shauna at Homegrown Homeschool, who's also one of my favorite YouTubers. I'm just a high functioning person in general. So I don't do well with idle time. I always have to be doing something. So YouTube, I'll say, that's my outlets. Like this is like me time. This is something I enjoy doing. My kids, nor does my husband want to listen to me talk about homeschool curriculum at the lengths I do. So this is my outlet for that. I love connecting with all of you. So I do this like on my free time. And so I have free time normally like on Mondays and Fridays after I get done working. I have like a good solid 2 hours where my kids are not home, my husband's not home. That's when I film videos. I normally bulk film a lot of videos, edit videos. I have the podcast with Nikki, but again, we do Mondays when I'm done working. Like we have it set. We normally film a couple episodes in advance time. And that's like me calling it is like me calling my best friend and just chatting. So like most of the time, YouTube does not feel like a job to me. When it does start feeling like a job to me, that is when you will see me step away. There have been times where I needed to take a break because this is not my real job, and like my prioritization is my family over everything. My real job will never come in front of my family, and my job understands that. And then my real job, because that is you know, what pays the bills, or, you know, pays for all the homeschool curriculum. And then, you know, YouTube is definitely like my fun thing, but definitely on the lower end of like priority. I do sleep. I sleep from about 10 o'clock till 5 a.m. every day. I do get up super early. And yeah, and then, you know, like working from home, like I can just, you know, throw in a load of laundry, but then also my kids do a lot of chores. So like, don't let me sit here and act like I do everything. My kids do their own laundry. My kids do most of the time, like the dishes. They're responsible for cleaning their own rooms. So, you know, I'm not like doing everything around here. I do, you know, obviously I have a lot of chores I keep up on, but I do a lot of that on like the weekends and just randomly throughout the week. All right, last question. Are your kids ever not in the mood to do school, and do you skip those days? Well, I have 3 kids, and let me tell you, if one of them, almost every school day, one of them is in the mood of I don't want to do school today. I mean, I think that's just like a natural thing. I just ignore them. You know, like it's at a point now to where it's like I know if they're being serious, like are they really not feeling well? Are they really having a bad day? Which is very, very rare. Most of the time it's like they just need to like get up, they need, you know, to eat some breakfast, they need to jump around for a little bit. And so no, we do not skip days just because they don't want to do school. There's a lot of things I don't want to do every day, and you know what, you just have to do them. But there are times where it's like, you know, I just can tell like they're a little tired, they need some fun. I'll start, you know, being ridiculous. I'll start dancing around. I'll throw out some jokes just to kind of break up that bad attitude. There are, you know, things, I'll throw some candy at them, you know, just to like kind of break it up and, you know, get their attention and get their buy-in. And I'm always telling them like, look, school's never going away. Like you and me sitting here doing this worksheet together, yes, that may go away, but you're always going to be learning. Like I'm still learning, and I really do try to show my kids like I love learning, and that's why I do try to be as much as involved in their school days and like talking to them, you know, and learning with them. All right, that was a lot of questions. Thank you all for sending me all those questions. I hope you guys got to know me a little bit better. If you have more questions, leave those down below in the comments. I will hold them until I do my next Q&A. But if you made it to the end of the video, then thank you guys so much. But I am also doing a giveaway. So I am giving away 3 gift cards. That means there will be 3 winners on this giveaway, and it is only for my subscribers. So down below there is a link. You do need to use this link to enter. This link collects your name and your email address so I can send you your prize if you are a winner. And there's ways to get bonus entries. So you obviously need to make sure you are subscribed here to my YouTube channel, but also you can get bonus entries by following me over on Instagram. My Instagram is gatheredandgrounded_Ashley, as well as if you go over and subscribe to my podcast with Nikki. It's called 2 Homeschool Moms. There's a YouTube channel, there's our podcast link. You get a bonus entry everything you submit. So you could just enter once, you're subscribed to this channel, enter once, you get 1 entry. But if you want multiple entries, there's a whole bunch of things you can do to get multiple entries. 3 gift cards to win. That's a huge, because 6,000 is huge. When I started YouTube, I don't know what I was expecting, but 6,000 does seem, you know, I'm getting up there. And so I appreciate you all. Look at the giveaway details down below in the link. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for all your support. Have a great day, guys. Bye.